Hey guys, Pie Guy Rules here, and welcome to, well, not Spongy Bits, actually. This is, I guess I'd call it a Season 8 bonus video. So today's subject is a short that was produced in Season 8. SpongeBob actually has a lot of shorts they've made over the years, and usually they coincide with special episodes. This one is no different in that regard, as it is a part of the Vacation miniseries, and is paired up, in iTunes at least, with a SquarePants Family Vacation. But what does make this short different, and worth talking about in my opinion, is the fact that it is 5 minutes long, whereas most of the shorts are 3 minutes and under, with some of them being even under a minute, meaning that with those other shorts there's really not much to talk about, and I don't even know if I'd be able to call something that short a good meh or scumbob. How do you really judge something that goes by in an instant? I don't know, maybe someday I will talk about some of the other shorts, but seeing as this short is longer than some of the shorts that are considered actual episodes in Season 5, I think it's definitely worth talking about. And I was actually going to include it in my Season 8 review, but decided not to because that whole explanation of exactly what this short is and why I'm deciding to talk about it would have been too long for an already long video, and decided that it would just make more sense to put it in its own video. Do note though that this isn't really cut content because although I did prepare to make a review on this episode in Season 8, I didn't actually ever record one, so this is technically new footage and not something I just cut from the other one. One more thing though, because this is a short and not an actual episode, Nickelodeon has made it available legally and officially on their YouTube channel. So here is an annotation, and there is a link in the description as well if you want to check this out before my review. With all that out of the way, let me actually review the episode. Sandy's Vacation in Ruins. SpongeBob and Sandy find a portal to a strange place. So the story of this episode is weird. SpongeBob and Sandy go through this crazy portal, find remnants of a civilization that got wiped out millions of years ago, with the only inhabitants being 3 cleaning robots. But I like how weird it is. It reminds me a little bit of SB-129. It works pretty well here. They use it as an opportunity to show off some weird architecture and to tell a story that you really don't know where it's gonna go. Well, in the beginning anyway. It does a good job building up the mystery. That being said, the ending of the story, super obvious. As soon as SpongeBob destroyed their home, I just knew they were going to end up working at the Krusty Krab for free. And interestingly enough, because I just had a square theory on the topic, this actually does contain a form of characters trying to commit suicide, in the fact that these 3 robots pop their heads off and say that this is a good place to dry out in the sun. But it's not at all a problem here because it's done in a more fantasy, cartoony, weird way. It's not Plankton throwing himself in the road, it's these robots popping their heads off and just kind of giving up. And it only lasts for a second before SpongeBob chimes in with a good idea. As far as the comedy, there isn't much, but I can totally cut it a break for that because it's only 5 minutes. And aside from the ending, the main punchline of the entire piece is that there is a piece of furniture that the robots say really holds the place together, and then SpongeBob touches it and breaks it, and the entire place falls apart. I found that to be a pretty dang funny gag. It's great because them saying that the sculpture holds the room together is a joke in and of itself because it is just such an odd sculpture. So you think the joke is done there, and you don't expect it when they pull off the second punchline of, no, literally it holds the room together. And it's really no surprise that the entire civilization got wiped out when simply touching a shiny object is enough to just make the entire place crumble to pieces. And on that note, this is one of those episodes that SpongeBob screws up and causes a lot of trouble, but what he does is relatively minor. He didn't know that touching that one thing would cause such a big problem, even though they technically kinda point blank told him. And he does apologize and feel bad about it, and actually finds a way to help these robots that he harmed. Another joke I quite enjoyed was the fact that after the sandcastle collapsed, there's a time card that reads 2 days later before Sandy and SpongeBob emerge. Just a quick gag of the fact that apparently it took 2 days for them to crawl out from under what honestly looks like only a little bit of rubble. It's minor, but it's pretty funny. And I really like the art in this. The portal in particular looks really cool, and just the architecture of this weird alternate world, dimension, whatever it is. So the story is pretty interesting and mysterious, at least up until the ending. There's 2 jokes I found particularly funny, and the art is really neat. All in all, I would say it is a good short. It's not anything that I highly recommend, but I absolutely do not regret watching it and would definitely watch it again. In fact, you know what this whole short reminds me of? It reminds me of Atlantis SquarePantis done right. You got the weird civilization that's really advanced and strange, you have characters accidentally stumbling across the location, SpongeBob destroys something. I'm not saying this episode copied Atlantis, I'm in fact saying that I wish this had been their Atlantis episode. And the best part about it is that unlike Atlantis SquarePantis, it's actually short, and it just gets right to the point with its story instead of meandering around for like 35 minutes. Bits. And that's about all I have to say. I hope you enjoyed this little bonus video, and let me know if you want to hear me talk about any of the other shorts. I know there is at least one that is of decent length and is definitely interesting, in that SpongeBob kind of causes the apocalypse. And on that note, Pie Guy Rules, out.